Hi everyone. I'm Naman, founder and CEO at NodeOps. Today I'll just be talking more about what exactly is orchestration layer. What are the current challenges in the entire DePIN ecosystem? I won't bore you up with supply side, demand side, all of it. I'll focus more on, how exactly we have been transitioning ourselves from being like a traditional infrastructure as a service to more like a decentralized, physical infrastructure as a service now. So a quick background about what we've been doing so far at NodeOps and where I come from. Been working in the research space, infrastructure space since 2017. Worked with all the enterprises like IBM, Bosch, helping them out from the infrastructure for payments initially. Built out an extension that was leveraged for micropayments and fully homomorphic encryption by Ford. This was later on acquired by one of the largest gateways that you know today as Circle. Started with NodeOps with an intent to provide a simplified one-click layer for anyone to get into DePIN. And that's where we are today with more than 300K wallets with us, more than 2.5 million revenue so far. We are one of the top 5 DePIN projects in terms of revenue for 2024. What are the offerings that we've been primarily focusing on? So imagine that you want to deploy a Solana validator node or even like a Cosmos validator node or a simple, light client of Celestia or Avail. We have something called console where you can sign in with your email, select the chain, deploy, and forget after that. Everything else in terms of maintaining, monitoring, upgrading, all of it from an infra space has been taken care by us. And this is what NodeOps bought in the entire trend of having the node as a service provider for retail. And today we cater to around 75,000 monthly active users that are consistently deploying their nodes, and we're helping them to further decentralize and secure the network. Recently, we announced something called NodeOps Cloud. So NodeOps Cloud is where we are now focusing more towards bringing in the DePIN supply, compute supply from reliable cloud providers. So it's not just about you spinning up your laptop and bringing it on NodeOps Cloud as a compute. The intent is, yes, if you've got a good data server, if you've got a good compute, you can just come to us, run a single command, and get onboarded as a compute provider on our cloud. And this cloud, you would have a very straightforward orchestration layer. That's what I'll talk today. Which would essentially schedule the workloads on your machines, and you start getting a very clear revenue share in a sustainable manner. And that's what, the entire orchestration happens on our own network. It's called NodeOps Network, which is economically secured via AVS. And AVS is now actively validated services. We're currently compatible with EigenLayer, very soon with Symbiotic, Jito from Solana as well. So here are some stats for us. So far, 2.7 million revenue since January 2024. We've catered to around 55,000 plus nodes under management, spread across 80 plus protocols today. Now, looking at what are the current challenges in the market right now? Well, if you look at it, all the DePIN projects out there is actually looking to bring in a very reliable and secure compute network. Believe me, we are not getting into the hardware business at all. The intent right now is all this compute network that exists with partners like Fluence, partners like Ether. The intent for us is how do we orchestrate it, bring it on our marketplace, and schedule the demand side, and we purely focus on the demand side altogether. Now, the next one primarily is more focused towards how do you trust it. There is no single unitary metrics that you can follow that is compatible with all the DePIN projects out there. We are working with very, very strong researchers from Stanford to introduce a novel metrics called Node Score. So Node Score is going to be the metrics that would define how every machine is adhering to a certain benchmark that's been set by the DePIN providers out there. So this would eventually bring in a strong unified trust layer for all the DePIN supply out there. And that's where NodeOps is right now leading this initiative with partners from all the other DePIN projects as well. And if you look at it, one of the biggest challenge in Web3 had always been fragmentation, be it fragmented liquidity, now being fragmented toolings. Today, if a developer comes in from a traditional Web2 background and wants to deploy something, let's say on a very new chain, I don't know, Abstract, right? If he's deploying an NFT collection on Abstract, they would eventually first go on Abstract, find out the RPCs, set the environment, deploy it on their own cloud providers, and then build out the entire application layer. Don't you think this can be resolved very easily? That's where we come in and provide the solutions that focuses more on simplifying the business logic for developers, where the intent for us is we would orchestrate the entire coordination from the day one of developer joining a particular protocol to actually going live and maintaining the reliable network for them that can cater to the real-time demand that they get in from a large-scale applications out there. So this is how it, I won't get into the entire complexity of it, but the entire architecture is split into 3 layers. You have an entire onboarding flow for, providers to come in. We call it marketplace and now NodeOps Cloud, where a new protocol that is looking to bootstrap their economic security or looking to bootstrap their operator set, they can literally do an entire operator bootstrapping event on our platform. What do I mean by that is, imagine you're launching your own protocol now, and you need like 100 different validators spread across 17 demographics with a certain compute spec. You just have to list it on our, marketplace, and the entire coordination to get them on board has been taken care by our orchestration layer. And once that it's done, the entire process that involves monitoring these nodes, deployment of these nodes, scheduling of these nodes, it's all been taken care, via our project itself. And to bring in the additional verification layer, how are we economically securing this? That's where the AWS angle comes in, where we are now positioned to be one of the top DePIN projects out there to bring in the verifiable compute directly catering to all the needs of protocols and developers out there. So in simple terms, if you look in the traditional world, orchestration is literally just a standard coordination between 3 layers. You have DevOps that takes care of developers' operations from the infra front. This essentially interacts with cloud. This cloud is like GCP, AWS, or even now DePIN clouds. And all of it goes into the IT operations part. This 3 combined today is a traditional cloud orchestration. And that's where we are bringing in the entire node orchestration via NodeOps Network that is going to cater to the demand in Web3 as well. So all in all, the 3 steps that the 3 pillars that we are focusing on is, first one, how do we ensure a permissionless onboarding for any compute providers? Today, if you have to get into any network and join in as a compute provider, if you have your data servers, the first thing that you have to do is acquire certain tokens, stake it, and then run the entire steps in like your own instances, your own terminals. With NodeOps Network, it's like a one-click layer for you. You connect your wallet, you sign in with your email, run one single command right there, and you're good to go. We have worked tremendously hard for this for last 3 to 4 years with, guys who have been building the infrastructure for traditional Web2 forms as well, that is serving like millions of requests per hour. So it's right now state-of-the-art innovation where we've onboarded more than 80,000 unique compute providers in a span of 4 weeks. And Mesari actually covered us for that. The second one is, once providers are onboarded, how do we bring in the demand side? Because now the supply is set. That's where the entire console and marketplace comes in, where anyone can go in, build their templates, deploy any form of use cases that they want in a very simplified one-click manner. We are today working with more than 300 plus developers that are building in not just node deployment templates to us, but it is AI workflows, AI agents, and you just have like a one-click layer for that. And all of these templates, you have the flexibility to select where you want these to be deployed. So if you're very confident about a particular provider that you trust, you could literally go out on our marketplace, select that provider as your default choice, and every workload that's been scheduled would automatically be orchestrated on that. And the next one is how the economics work here. The first question everyone is focusing on, what happens to revenue? And you might have heard a lot of things right now in terms of mint and burn, buyback and burn, stake, all of it. Well, we don't get into it. With NodeOps Network, we are going to have a direct revenue share with all the providers that are getting onboarded. So entire revenue that we've generated so far, it is on chain. With NodeOps Network, we are going to just make sure that all the stakeholders involved, be it node operators, be it compute providers, be it our own network stakers, they get a direct revenue share right away on every demand that's been generated on the platform. And yeah, that's what we've been focusing on with our provider onboarding flow, where marketplace now is looking to work with very unique set of use cases involved. So for example, we are currently working with SSV network, where the intent for us is how do we leverage the entire DVT concept to bring it to being like a DVP, which is decentralized verifiable provider as well. And that's going to be an interesting one where, we're actively working with DVT validators and stuff as well. Yeah, so this is what Mesari recently covered us as well, which was more focused towards the actual growth and demand that we've generated so far since January 2024, where we have more than 275K verified users actively working and participating across various campaigns that we've been running. And of course, one of the biggest metrics for us had always been revenue. And that brings in a very sustainable economy for the entire NodeOps network right now. This is a very quick interface of how it actually looks. Overall, you could see the real-time stats in terms of what you can do. We have something called Agent Terminal launching very soon. And this would be one of the first agent terminal out there that's staying away from all the token gimmick. You could actually use these agents throughout your daily life, be it if you're a developer, be it monitoring. If you are a social media manager, you could literally use this agent terminal to deploy like your own version of your own personality on socials that can, of course, reply, but not just reply. You have a flexibility now to focus more on what exactly these agents should be involved in. So we're giving like a complete segregation layer there where this terminal can cater to as much use cases as possible. So yeah, overall, if you've looked at it, orchestration is everywhere. In AI, it has been used for coordination between the language models, tools, data sets, and then bringing it all together, tying it out together to build out your own AI workflows. In DeFi, it's always been helpful to have orchestration across managing the risk, managing the rewards, and how you have a sustainable risk-adjusted returns overall. In DePIN, orchestration is very important to create the entire distributed nodes in node architecture, and that's where NodeOps Network comes in. And in security, this is something that we're releasing very soon, meaning in next 48 hours. It's called our own vulnerability tracker agent. So in security, one thing that we are looking at right now is you might have been seeing a lot of hacks across the board for last 6 to 7 years. Yes, you always get to know after you see it on socials, and if you're not a developer, you would never get an opportunity to actually understand what happens behind the scenes. With our vulnerability tracker, if your code base as a developer has been exposed to any of these third-party libraries that you are directly or indirectly using, you would be notified real time with the solution for it that, hey, your dApp or your piece of code is exposed to certain vulnerabilities. It's very important that you resolve it right now. This is a critical vulnerability. This is a high class vulnerability. So we have like various categories been created for that as well. So that's where the entire orchestration layer again comes in, where the coordination between the third-party libraries, open source libraries that a developer use, monitoring it, generating the vulnerability reports for it, and then pulling the triggers for anyone to be fully aware of what's exactly happening out there. And if your DApp is exposed to it, you need to resolve it right away. And it not only gives you the alert, but with our AI powered playground there, you actually get this solution as well in terms of how to resolve it. All you have to do now is just click on execute it right away and get the solution for it. So yeah, that's been the quick background about orchestration in general. And the way we look at it right now, NodeOps started as a SaaS in software as a service in December 2023. And now we're moving towards something called DV-SaaS, which is decentralized verifiable SaaS powered by our own orchestration layer. And that's where everything that we've deployed so far, be it 60,000 nodes, be it catering to 300K users on our testnet, or be it generating 2.8 mil revenue so far, this was centralized. This was handled by our own 6 to 7 different cloud providers that we've been leveraging. And now we're moving towards DePIN with NodeOps Network. Over to you. Thank you.